Far from the safety of the shore, there are places where the ocean rises like a living beast, where waves smash stone and metal as if they were paper, and where a single mistake means death. Here, clinging to jagged rocks and surrounded by infinite merciless water, stand the lonely sentinels of the seas, lighthouses that have faced storms so violent they shattered windows, bent steel doors, and claimed the lives of those sworn to keep their lights burning. These are not just places of duty, they are prisons of salt and wind, soaked in tragedy, haunted by the ghosts of drowned sailors and lost keepers. Tonight, we set sail into the darkness to uncover 10 of the most dangerous and isolated lighthouses of the seas, and the terrible true stories they hide. Off Cornwall, in the furious Atlantic, Bishop Rock is a splinter of granite barely large enough for its own foundation. The first lighthouse here was torn apart by a storm before its first night. Steel wrenched like tin, stone ripped away and swallowed whole. In 1901, a supply boat was smashed against the rock, capsizing before the keeper's eyes. The 3 men aboard were dragged under in seconds, their screams drowned by the roar of the sea. On calmer nights, keepers spoke of relentless knocking from inside the walls, as if the ocean itself was trying to get in. Perched on a basalt outcrop a mile offshore, terrible Tilly was born in disaster. Workers were chained to the rock to survive the waves. One man was ripped away, vanishing beneath the black foam. In 1934, a cyclone-force storm shattered windows, tore doors from hinges, and hurled seawater through the living quarters. The keepers, trapped and soaked in darkness, reported whispers in empty rooms and footsteps pacing the upper floor, long after the storm ended. Now abandoned, it serves as a tomb, a private columbarium where urns of human ashes rest inside the storm-beaten tower. 8 miles offshore, Ireland's Teardrop has seen waves the height of a 15-story building crash against its walls. This was the last farewell for emigrants bound for America, but also the grave marker for countless ships. In 1910, 2 keepers saw a ship bearing down on them through dense fog. Bells rang, the light blazed, and then it was gone, dissolving into the mist. Some say it was a phantom ship, others say it was a premonition. Weeks later, a vessel vanished in the same waters without a trace. Built on the site of a mass drowning, St. George Reef fought the Pacific for a decade before the light was lit. In 1951, a rogue wave exploded against the tower so violently that it killed a keeper inside. Men stationed here spoke of hearing iron tools clanging in locked storerooms, and of doors that opened themselves on windless nights. In the Irois Sea, the water is a battlefield. La Jument became famous for the photograph of a monstrous wave about to engulf the tower, while the keeper stood in the doorway. A second later, the sea swallowed the entire structure. Keepers swore the rock beneath them would shudder like a living thing during the fiercest storms. Once, a supply helicopter spotted the door swinging wildly in freezing winds. The keeper insisted no one had touched it for weeks. Lake Superior is not the sea, but it kills like one. In 1931, an ice storm sealed the lighthouse in a frozen tomb for over a month. When rescue finally came, the keepers were pale, gaunt, and shaken. They told of singing voices drifting over the ice at night. Songs in no language they knew. To this day, fishermen swear they've heard the same unearthly music when the lake ices over. Perched on a cliff 600 feet above jagged reefs, Makapuu faces the full wrath of Pacific cyclones. In 1943, a keeper disappeared without a trace. His last log entries descended into chaos, ending with "The light must never go out." He was never seen again. Built in the deadly Ras de Seine, Kéréon is beautiful inside. Polished wood and tiled floors. But outside, storms claw at it like a predator. In 1989, a keeper saw a shadow crossing a locked room while hurricane-force winds battered the tower. Slowly being consumed by moving dunes, Rubjerg Knude is dying not by water, but by the land itself. Visitors speak of phantom foghorns echoing over the sands, and one construction worker swore he saw a man in a 19th century keeper's uniform on the balcony, in an empty tower. The first offshore lighthouse site in history. The sea destroyed the first three. Fire consumed the third, killing its keeper Henry Hall in one of the strangest deaths ever recorded. Molten lead poured onto his head from the burning lantern roof. Later keepers reported metallic clanging and boots pacing overhead when they were utterly alone. These lights were built to guide ships to safety, but for the keepers inside, they could be tombs. They have seen storms that could tear apart steel and waves that could swallow the world. And in the silence between tempests, they have heard things the living were never meant to hear. Shipmates, would you dare spend a single night in one of these towers with only the wind, the waves, and whatever else might be waiting for you in the dark? If you've braved this voyage with us, drop anchor on that like button, subscribe to Ships and Sailors, and ring the bell so you never miss another story from the farthest edges of the sea. Share this with your fellow adventurers and help keep these tales alive, just as the keepers kept their lights burning. Until next time, may your light never fail, and may the sea never claim you.